A continuous stream of a letter S, repeated like a flow, is called a flow of thoughts. A stroke that I have been asked a lot about. People tell me that when they look at me practicing, they feel calm. Is it even possible? Actually, it is. Because when you see a stroke formation in your mind starts repeating the pattern. And this is where the whole fun happens. Hi, I'm Aditi Surana. I'm a graphologist and a high performance coach. Being a graphologist, I read personalities based on your handwriting, where your handwriting forms a graph for me to understand what choices you make. How do you think? Now, how does it work? It's simple. Your mind and body are closely correlated. Whatever happens in your mind, your body represents that. Whatever happens in your body, your mind represents that. For example, when you feel really angry, have you noticed that your breath changes? That complete anger has that warm breath. When you feel calm, your breath is very, very different. So here your emotion is driving a physiological change. Now let's look at how your body takes care of your mind. When you feel low, when you have fever, like physically low, you have fever, when you have some illness happening, do you feel your mind also feels exhausted? This is a correlation that is happening all the time in millions of ways that you are aware or unaware of. Now we are using this mechanism to make these changes that we are talking about. When you write something, your brain goes through multiple processes. You begin with a thought that I want to write this, I want to form this stroke. That thought has to be converted into some chemical reactions. Like neuropathways are formed to make sure that you give right instructions to right movement, then the nervous system comes into play. So let's understand what happens in this stroke. This stroke is a continuous row full of small letter S. And I'm saying small letters because I don't want them to be really large and enlarged formations. The simple small, as you write any other letter, you write S and you form a continuous flow in it. This stroke helps you build patience, focus a little bit more on whatever you are doing, have more clarity. People ask me why to practice this stroke. Basically, you culture your body by training it. Don't you think the same thing is required for your mind? For mind to be cultured and trained in a certain manner? It's not about what decisions you make, but it is crucial that the decisions that you make are processed in a manner that is comfortable for you. You're dealing with a situation in the office, a really difficult problem where you have to strategize something, or you're dealing with your child. For your brain, the processing is about having a problem and solving it in a certain manner. And without having the calm, without having the poise, the moment of breather, doing that is extremely difficult. People, when they suffer through anxiety, they miss these breathers. When people get into compulsive habits, they miss these breathers. Now, this particular stroke, which is called a flow of thoughts, can allow us to do that. When you repeat the stroke and it is also coordinated with your breath, you actually enhance the experience of taking the longer breaths in your thinking pattern. But you cannot do it just by knowing it. You cannot do it just by thinking about it. You have to do it by training your mind. I found handwriting as a fantastic way to train our minds. And I'm gonna tell you how to do it. But the point is, the whole secret of this therapy is in doing it. Not understanding it, not visualizing it, but physically doing it. When you move your body in a certain manner, when you actually create the stroke and breathe along with it, you actually create the neuropathways required, the brain patterns required for you to have that habit, that formation throughout your day. It's not doing it to solve a problem, but it is actually to create a platform on which you can walk, you can dance, you can do whatever required during the day. So we are trying to create that platform, that cultured space of your mind with this stroke. So you'll have to give me some days of commitment to do it, or do it playfully, randomly, wherever you want, your choice. More you do it, more interesting it would become. So let's understand how to go about doing this practice. So first, let's begin with the paper that you're going to use. We will be using a rule sheet like this. Now, When we use a lined paper, make sure that you do not write on the back side. Only use the front side if it's a sheet. If you're using a notebook, then only use the right side and not the left side of your notebook. You can write other things, but while doing the therapy, just stick to the right side or one side of the page. Do not practice on the back side of the same page. Use only a ballpoint pen. When you use fountain, gel, ink, softball, any other type of pen, you alter your pressure. We want your pressure to be as it is in your normal way of writing. So do not alter it by using all these instruments. Use a simple ballpoint pen. So here comes your flow of thoughts. This stroke actually builds a flow. Now let's look at how the flow is built. When you start the stroke, you start that S formation and then you continue. You make loops after loops. Now there are some parts to these loops and how they are to be made. But most importantly, your hand must move. It must keep moving. And if it stops, you pick up your pen and you start all over again. Now here comes your stroke. Let's look at what not to do while practicing flow of thoughts. First thing first, no tail to this S. So when you begin the stroke, you begin here on the top. You do not begin it from the bottom. Second point, with the ending part of it. When you end the stroke, you do not have this flying end. Make sure that you end the stroke on the line again. Let me repeat small thing. Make sure that you do not start with the tail or end with the tail. So start here when you start your letter S and end here the way you should end your letter S. Point number 2 is when you practice this stroke, make sure that you have proper loop formations. Can you see here the loops are squeezed? Now sometimes you tend to drag your pen and this is what happens. This is not correct. These loops must be open and equal in size. They won't be exact obviously, but at least equal or as much as you can get. As you know, the stroke is called a flow of thoughts. That means you have to have a flow when you practice the stroke. When you begin the stroke, you will build the loops well, you will continue it, you will make sure that you are enjoying the stroke. But at some point, the pen or the hand would restrict the movement, or you may get distracted and the hand would stop. No problem. Do not drag the stroke from here to build the next one. Don't do that. Make sure if you stop at any point, just pick up your pen and start again. Simply, just pick up your pen and start again. It's as simple as that. Last instruction that I want you to keep in mind is to breathe. Yeah, it may sound silly, but most of the time while practicing this stroke, people hold their breath. We don't want that. We want to make sure that you breathe deeper than your normal breath. So you inhale properly and you exhale properly. There is no holding. Breath is very, very closely related to the way we think, the way we function. So just make sure that you take long and deep inhalations and exhalations while doing this practice. So begin the stroke from the top. Make sure the loops are equal and well formed and open. Create a flow in your stroke so the flow goes on, and if it is interrupted, you're not gonna drag your pen, you're gonna pick it up and start all over again. The most important part of the stroke formation is you enjoy this practice. Now when you actually practice the stroke, being a new person to this new exercise, you'll realize that you cannot form the stroke which are longer in length, which is okay. You actually begin and you do as much as they are comfortable for you without breaking the flow. The very moment the flow breaks, you pick up your pen and you start all over again. Once you start practicing, you can carry these pages anywhere. That small diary, your A4 sheets, depending on what is your comfort. I have seen people practicing. I've heard from clients that they have practiced it on their flights, in the waiting areas, before the important meetings, before addressing a crowd or giving a speech. Anywhere. You literally take that 10 minutes time to center yourself, do this practice, and this practice to be done with your breath, as you saw in the instruction part of it. Now when you do that, you actually become more available to yourself and you move much You glide through your process, you move smoothly. But make sure your practice remains, and once you do it for 42 days, you will realize that you can call upon this cultivated habit anytime. But to do that, you have to cultivate it enough that platform has to be steady and ready for you to use it for life. The next question is how long to practice. If you have 10 minutes, choose A5 sheet, which is your diary size page. If you have 20 minutes, choose A4, which is your printout size page. Depending on how long you have to dedicate for this exercise, you can choose whatever you like. No matter whether you choose 10 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever is your choice, but stick to that choice for the period that you're choosing. Okay. Now, people ask me, can we watch television while doing it? No. Can we be on the phone? No. Can we do something else while doing this practice? If you're giving only 10 minutes, why not to give 10 minutes dedicatedly to this activity? Now, handwriting is one of those things when you start writing. Now, actually, when you're forming words and writing a paragraph, you can't multitask. In this stroke, you can afford to multitask because you don't have to think and write. But do not do it. Just if possible, give yourself that 10 minutes as your time, your personal meditation, me time, whatever you call it. Just that much time we can do for ourselves, isn't it? Now, how long to practice? For your brain to build any habit, to build any new habit, it takes minimum 21 days. But if we do it double of that, which is 42 days, 6 weeks, then the habit is long lasting. If you can do 42 days non-stop, in Sanskrit we call it mandala, a complete cycle for habit formation to make that habit yours. If calmness and poise and relaxation, if you want that to be your habit for life, 42 days, 10 minutes a day, I think not much to ask, isn't it? In the process, on 42nd day, when you begin, whenever you feel that you're ready to share the video with us, when you're doing the practice or a photograph, and tag us, we would love to know that. We would love to know how many people are enjoying the writing part of it and doing the stroke. You can tag us on Aditi Surana on all the platforms. Make sure that you stay committed to this practice and you enjoy every bit of it. Do not, if possible, do not drag your feet through this process or your hand, but just make sure that you enjoy this way the stroke is being formed. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you fall in love with writing again. Happy writing. Bye bye.